Are we ready? Are we ready, everybody? I think we're streaming live from Syracuse, New York. This is Ken Frieden. It's great to have you all with us for our first performance at the Virtual Comedy Café. Today is April 19th, 2020. As you know, there's a pandemic and people are suffering. The news is terrible. So why tell jokes? Because not everyone can be a hero and save lives. Still, as we say in Yiddish, Lachen is gesund, Doktorim heißen lachen. That is, laughing is healthy. Doctors prescribe laughter. For an hour tonight, let's laugh and forget about the news. 10 performers from Syracuse University are waiting in the wings. For the past 2 months, they've worked with Stephen Rosenfield. He directs the American Comedy Institute in Manhattan, and he's the author of the terrific book, Mastering Stand-Up. We had planned for him to run workshops here in Syracuse, but when social distancing intervened, we switched to Zoom. It's been great. The only problem with performing virtually on Zoom is that we can't hear you, the audience, laughing. Our students are really excited to share their original shticks. Here we go. Now, the first performer comes to you from Virginia. He hesitated a bit before trying stand-up comedy, but now he's unstoppable. Please welcome the very funny Chris Vinn.
Thank you. So glad to be here. Thank you very much. You ever seen someone that's too attractive to be doing the job that they're doing? Like they'll look like a model, but they're working the register at a CVS. Like something does not make sense here. I thought pretty people were supposed to have it easier in this world. There's no reason Kate Upton should be scanning my Tylenol right now. I was at a Benihana the other day, and our chef was just way too sexy. Like way too sexy to be cooking at a Japanese steakhouse chain. I was like, this is inappropriate. I should not be this turned on at a restaurant. I would understand if I was at like a Hooters and the staff was making me feel some type of way. Like that's just American, right? But this is not a Hooters. I should not be getting aroused by the man stacking an onion volcano in front of my family. I was seriously concerned though. I was like, what are you doing here, bro? You're tall and jacked. You could have been an actor, a pro athlete, I don't know, a samurai. What went so horribly wrong in your life that your only career option was hibachi? I don't understand. I didn't actually say any of that to him though. He would have beat the shit out of me. I just ate my fried rice and said thank you. I love Benihana though. I didn't realize until embarrassingly late that Benihana was a chain and not some grassroots establishment situated conveniently in the middle of my local mall. I was like, damn, what a nice little hole in the wall restaurant they've got here. They should think about expanding. And then my mom shamefully informed me that they're actually a global company with 116 locations around the world. Apparently they're everywhere. I had no idea. Little Rock, Arkansas even has a Benihana location for some reason. I didn't even know Little Rock, Arkansas had Asian people. I'm very confused as to how that location operates. I'm just imagining one very lonely Japanese man with a cowboy hat and a fake accent. I would not be surprised at all if all the chefs at Benihana Little Rock just didn't have accents. They probably put on fake ones just to entertain the poor Arkansas people because I'm sure they don't know the difference. All you got to do is bow and say, "Hello," and they'll all applaud like, wow, he's so authentic. Wow. I miss Yao Ming. He isn't dead. I just haven't heard from him in a while. I hope he's doing all right. You all remember him, right? Houston Rockets legend, Asian sports hero. That guy was a monster. The only problem I had with Yao Ming was just that he spread false optimism. He had an entire generation of young Asian boys believing that they could also grow up to become a Hall of Fame NBA center. He set us all up for disappointment. And I believed it too, because I was a stupid idiot that didn't have even the most basic understanding of human genetics. I should have realized that a 5'5" dad and a 4'10" mom weren't going to produce a 7-foot son. That's just not how it works. Shit, I couldn't even hit 6 feet. That's even more embarrassing. Growing up, I always assumed I was going to be 6'3" because that was the height of my two childhood idols, Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez. But like Alex Rodriguez before steroids and that affair with a 50-year-old Madonna, after that, I was just like, ew. But I actually grew pretty fast when I was younger, so I just assumed I was going to get there eventually. But then as soon as I hit 5'10", my body was like, all right, that's enough. And then everything just stopped. And I honestly wouldn't be so insecure about my height if it weren't for my younger sister hitting these ridiculous growth spurts right now. She's 14 years old and she's 5'8". I used to be able to carry her on my shoulders like it was nothing. We tried to do that again last year and I fractured a vertebrae. I don't know why she got all the tall genes, but it's not fair because being tall when you're a girl just amplifies it even more, especially to me as a shorter guy. Because if you're 5'9" as a girl, you're basically 6 feet to me. And if you're 6 feet as a girl, you might as well be 6'6". Like, just dunk on me already, please. And my sister is still growing. It's absurd. The doctor said her projected height is supposed to be 6'1". Are you serious? I had to pull her aside, like, listen, Stephanie, you got to chill out with this shit. 6'1"? How could you do this to me? Like, I'm your older brother. I've always loved you. Like, please just show me some respect. It's the least you could do. Like, what do you even need to be that tall for? I know we keep the Chex Mix on the top shelf, but it's not that serious. I can just grab it for you. There's no need to turn into a giraffe on me. It's embarrassing. I told her straight up, I was like, if you actually grow to 6'1", I'm going to have to amputate your calves and reattach your feet at the knees. I'm sorry. There's just no way I'm letting you emasculate me like that. All right. Thank you guys very much. You've been great. Thank you. Thank you. And it is now my pleasure to introduce our next comic. He is a very funny freshman from Baldwinsville, New York, and he's a lot taller than I am. Please welcome Ryan Micho.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people are really into the TV show The Bachelor, but I'm not a big fan. I don't know. It just doesn't seem realistic, and I'm not really into polygamy. I don't know. The whole premise is crazy. Everyone watching is like, this is so romantic. Isn't love beautiful? Meanwhile, this guy's hooking up with very many women at the same time, and he's cheating on all of them, and all of them know. And then they actually get married after the show, and they get divorced like every single time. I understand it's like reality TV, but they can get fake married and nobody will know the difference. Like on Survivor, they don't actually kill the people who don't win. I do think there's like a quick fix to the show's problems though, and that'd be more polygamy. So The Bachelor starts with 25 women, right? He buys a bouquet, he gives everyone a rose, and now they're all legally obligated to marry him, right? Right. So let's say down the road he divorces like 3. If it were 3 divorces in a monogamous marriage, that's not great for the resume, I'm not gonna lie. But in a polygamous marriage, that's an 88% retention rate. He is doing well. And then ABC, they can like make a spinoff called like Divorced and Desperate, where the 3 women who got divorced, they can find new husbands. ABC makes money, the women make money, everybody's happy. Because of the coronavirus, I have to take classes online for the rest of the semester. What I didn't realize about online classes was how self-conscious of my room they would make me, because like your room is your backdrop. And so before online classes, I don't know, I was pretty happy with my room. Checked all the boxes, like I had a bed, some windows, a ceiling, I don't know. But then I saw other people's rooms and there's like a collector's art piece behind them. There's a live jaguar in the corner. It's like, do you live in a museum? My room, on the other hand, looked like it was decorated by a 12-year-old because it was. I decorated this room when I was like 12 and I never looked back. My room, it used to look like someone had just closed their eyes and tried to make a scrapbook of random athletes. I'd never taken anything down. If I got a new poster, I just slapped it up. If there was any free wall space. Before I could even read the name on the poster, it was up like, Derek Jeter, sure. LeBron James, why not? OJ Simpson, right. He had a good career, right? So my entire first online class, I was just trying to like situate myself perfectly in the center of the screen so I could block my walls out. And then like every once in a while, I'd accidentally catch a glimpse of like the Mark Sanchez poster over my shoulder, and I'd be like, why do I have that? Who sold me that? They should be in jail. And if you don't know who Mark Sanchez is, you're in the majority because he has not been relevant since 2010. Immediately after the class ended, I had to make like a mass exodus in my decor. It looked like a yard sale, except you wouldn't want to buy anything. I took down everything as fast as possible, just drywall and posters coming down the same. So anyways, if anyone's interested in a 2x4, poster of Derek Jeter, I will be taking offers. With online classes, you kind of start to miss certain things about being on campus, like how everyone at Syracuse has collectively decided not to obey traffic laws. It's really beautiful to see our campus so unified. People just cross the road whenever they want without looking. They're just trusting their Canada Goose jackets take the blunt of the hit. It's like, are you trying to get hit? Actually, college kids love to talk about getting hit by buses. You'll hear them. They'll be like, what if I just jumped in front of this bus right now? I'd pay for my tuition. I'm totally going to do it. They tend not to. I'm not sure why everyone has so much confidence in their ability to survive getting hit by a bus. Like, are you going to practice? Or are you just going to jump in there cold turkey? It just seems to be a lot of talk coming from the 5'4", 120-pound girl. And the 30,000-pound bus is not doing a lot of talking. I guess the logic behind this would be you jump in front of the bus, you get injured, and then you collect money from a lawsuit. There are much safer ways to make money, like start a lemonade stand, sell meth, literally anything else. Even those like the get cash now clickbait companies, they tell students, oh, wait, I don't know if I do that. Seems kind of irresponsible. But once you do make that money, feel free to use it to buy that 2x4 poster of Derek Jeter from me. Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening. Up next, we have another freshman from Baldwinsville, New York, Annie Gorham.
Hi, I'm Annie, and I would like to tell you all of the first bat mitzvah I ever attended. I was about 8. It was for the daughter of my mother's friend from college. So I had no idea who these people were, but it didn't matter because I was getting so much free stuff. I got free socks, free sweatpants, and a free yarmulke. And there was so much food too. There was a salad bar, a salmon bar, a build your own hamburger bar, a brisket bar, a sundae bar, and 2 cakes. Like, I was busy, you know? And then it came time to dance the hora. And so they lift up the girl in the chair and everyone's dancing and they're playing Hava Nagila. I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, it was great. So I go over to my mom and I'm like, can we do this for my bat mitzvah? And she says, no. And I must have said, why not? With so much sincerity. Because then she goes, Annie, we're not Jewish. Looking back, there were some clues that I was perhaps not Jewish. For example, 2 months prior, my brother and I had made our first communion in the Catholic Church. You know what food you get at a communion? A single wafer. And there's no salt or anything. Body of Christ. It's not even seasoned. I vaguely remember doing a reading from the Bible at my communion in front of all my mom's friends and thinking, should I ask someone to tell me what this means? Nah, it's probably fine. And when I was done, I got played off by an old woman in the back doing canon in D minor on an organ. The girl whose bat mitzvah it was got to be ushered into the room with dancers, and the band was playing Hava Nagila again, but this time it had a key change, so it was even better. I was also super interested in having a bat mitzvah because I never really got to have like my moment at communion, you know? My brother went the same day as I did, and when it was his turn to walk up the aisle, as he gets closer to the altar with each step, he's just progressively weeping. And everyone sitting around my family was like, look at him. He has found the spirit. He's seen an apparition. The Lord is with us. But I knew he was faking because we weren't here for the grace of God. We were going to IHOP after this. But he's like still crying as he gets to the altar. So much so that even the priest was like, my son, are you good? And he's like shaking, he's like almost convulsing now and pointing to these huge vases of lilies that were all around the church. And turns out he wasn't faking. He was severely allergic to lilies. But we just kept going with his communion, though while he was crying the entire time, we were all just kind of there like, this feels symbolic of something, but I don't know what yet. Anyways, back to bat mitzvah. So I'm crying under this table, right? And just to double check, I asked my mom, can I be Jewish? Now, she was raised in a strict Irish Catholic household, but she was trying to be more open minded than her parents. So she just is like, yeah, if you want. Can I have a quinceanera at least? That one's probably a hard no. Now, at this point, my dad has walked over and he's trying to help, but he's a professor, so he's just kind of telling me about like the history of Judaism, which didn't feel relevant, but I guess it's important, nonetheless. But this gave my mom then time, I think, to try and figure out how long I thought I could have been Jewish, because I went to Sunday school and everything. Thing is, I didn't realize VeggieTales was about the Bible until I was 16. Did you know there are at least 60 books in the Christian Bible? I found that out last week from Jeopardy. I thought there were 5. Exodus, Genesis, Luke, Corinthians, and oh no. Anyway, somewhat obviously, no one in my family goes to church anymore, but I still listen to Hop and the Gila sometimes. Thank you very much. Our next performer is the incomparable Josh T.J. Horwitz.
Oh, thank you so much. Glad to be here. And by here, I mean still at home. Let's get it going. Y'all ever been high at work before? I mean, now it doesn't really count with coronavirus, but I usually am. The hardest part about being high at work is not tricking other people into thinking I'm not blazed, which I totally am. It's tricking myself into doing the things that I'm paid for. My boss will be like, hey, Josh, I need that call sheet copied. And I'm like, copy. Not in response, just as a reminder to do that task. But there are other challenges though, like finding a place to smoke. There is no perfect answer unless you work at Hot Topic, because they'll let you do literally anything there. I once walked into a Hot Topic and the 22-year-old beauty school dropout behind the counter didn't even look up as a water birth took place in the corner. I unfortunately spent many hours in the Hot Topic as I was their target demo, a teenage boy with self-esteem issues and a bankroll. Purchases I made at Hot Topic. A Green Lantern wallet with a chain because I thought I was hot shit. A Ravenclaw Letterman, which I still own and regularly wear. And of course, the hair dye that is the source of my greatest shame, the frosted tips. Dun, dun, dun. Cue horror music here. Another problem with the 9-to-5 schedule and a 420 lifestyle is when it's the end of my shift and I realize that all I've done is created a playlist of songs with the word weed in it. That playlist, by the way, absolutely fire. Like, it's super useful to have, just not in this context. Like a child, super useful to have sometimes, like at a park or as a reason to stay married, and then not useful other times, like on a plane or as a human shield if you're trying to catch bullets. They're just not really good for that. They're too small. Now you know why I'm no longer employed as a camp counselor. So I lost my virginity to a Satanist as a young, frail Jewish boy of a young, 21 years of age. My first experience with sex was with someone who had a pentagram around her neck and more metal on her than Black Sabbath playing at Optimus Prime's birthday party. It was fun though if I closed my eyes when we were making out, I could convince myself I was dating RoboCop. Which of course forced me to ask myself the question of if I am a technosexual, which is a word that I looked up for this bit, which means that I'm attracted to machines. I'm not, but on a completely unrelated note, I am no longer allowed in certain sections of Best Buy. But at least machines have instruction manuals. When it came to sex, I really could have used one. You know who's great at instruction manuals? IKEA. Just imagining the IKEA sex instruction manual. Step 1. Insert the male Waffelpineflugen into the female Grunkelvagelball. Step 2. Repeat. I'm gonna keep going on this. I think that having sex and going to IKEA are very similar. Here we go. It never looks like the pictures. It doesn't always fit together the way it should. And having a bad experience is potentially marriage ending. If you don't believe me, just take your significant other to IKEA and try not to break up. I failed 3 times. Eventually, though, back to the sexcapade, I got into a rhythm. Although it was more like the rhythm from the start of the movie Whiplash. 5, 6, 7, 8, ah! Not my tempo. Again, 5, 6, 7, 8. But whatever was supposed to be happening on my end, at least, wasn't. And I just kept chugging merrily along. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours go by. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, why did I spend all that time practicing by myself if I couldn't seal the deal here? And I'm the kind of person who likes to finish what they started, but not this time. I think I figured out the answer to what went wrong that night. My dick got scared, but I don't blame him. Metal is a real trigger for him ever since the incident with the moil. As you can imagine, my walk home the next morning was uncomfortable in more ways than one. There I was, forcing myself to walk across campus, head pounding, back sore, balls in severe pain. And I asked myself what I had learned. And by some grace of God at that moment, my phone buzzes and says, "Good morning, Josh. What can I do for you today?" And I say, "Siri, plot the location of the nearest Best Buy." Thanks so much. I'm Josh Horowitz. I have the distinct honor of introducing a very good friend, a guy I've known for a long time. He's a senior from Baltimore, but Baltimore, not Baltimore, Baltimore. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy Shapiro.
Thank you so much, Josh. And thank you so much for the clarification. It's something that kind of trips me up sometimes. So thank you that you cleared that up for me. These are a nervous time, guys. I mean, I've been thinking about what it would be like if we went back in time, out of the quarantine era just a couple months ago, and just see how relaxed and at ease I would have felt back then in comparison to like what today is. And then I thought about it for a second and I realized there wouldn't be much of a difference. I'd just still be nervous as I've always been. And then 10 or 15 years ago, I was probably worse than I am today. Those videos of dogs hiding in bathtubs on the 4th of July, just looking at their owners being like, guys, we're getting attacked. You're telling me you're not nervous or concerned? That was me like all the time in 2004. 2004 in particular was a particularly nervous time for me. Do you guys want to know what happened in 2004? Okay, I'm taking that as a yes. Warner Brothers Pictures released The Polar Express. And I know that some of you came here to see like Jewish Humor tonight, but I'm hoping that the majority of even our Jewish viewers have seen this movie, because that's what a lot of the set's about. So what a goddamn terrifying movie to see. As a 6-year-old, I went with 4 adults to see that movie. It was me and my parents and my grandparents. All of them thought it would be just a great idea to go to this, a bunch of Jews going to a movie on Christmas Day. It's a tale as old as time. No, but it turns out they took me to see a horror movie. Could you even just imagine the boardroom discussion for that monstrosity? It's like some executives at a big round table with all of his other executives at Warner Brothers, and then gets up there and says, "Okay, fellas, it's 2004. The troops are in Iraq. Reagan just died. We need to cheer up the parents. We need to cheer up the children. So what do you got?" And somebody just like immediately just raises his hand and is like, "Okay, so hear me out on this one. So it's Christmas Eve, right? And Tom Hanks takes a train full of children and he how about this? He traffics them to the North Pole." And they're just like, "That's it. We're gonna make a movie about that." And then it happened, and I saw it. I know it's like a suspension of disbelief and all that, but I mean, there's just so much wrong in that movie. You're 6 years old. It's the middle of the night, and it's Christmas Eve, and then a train full on pulls up right in front of your house. You don't live by train tracks, mind you, but it's just there. It's just right in front of your front door. And then you run outside to check what's up. And then there's somehow, like, no one else is up. It blew all of its whistles. And you're just one person standing there. You look at the train, and then there's a man who vaguely looks like Tom Hanks. And he hops out on the train and starts screaming in your face. Just like, "We gotta go, man. You gotta get on." And you're just like, like, where? And he's like, this kid, he doesn't know. How can he not know? We're going to the North Pole. Of course, get on. And then you're just like, sure, I'll get on. That sounds cool. So you get on the train and you just find out that there are just cars full of children who were put in the exact same situation as you are. And they all made the same choice as you to get on. And if that train just makes it all the way there, I'd probably, there's no turning back from that. You'd probably be taking their, like, they could be taking you to like an abandoned warehouse out in a field in Ohio, and you might have a better chance of living. So that movie was absolutely terrifying to me. What I mentioned that we are living through some nervous times here as well. So during all of it, well, I want to know who's your watching live TV these days. And I'm sure a bunch of you are. I am. And personally, I'm impressed at some of the commercials I'm seeing. I mean, every company somehow wants to lend a hand in some way through all of this. And they just want to help. It's nice, it's reassuring. Like the CEOs just want me to stay off the streets, and that's cool. I'm cool with that. But there's always a chance that these ads can come off, as insincere. But personally, I'm just so happy that Lexus is finally offering some potentially attractive payment plans for their cars. And it just, it's so heartwarming to me. And I'm really touched that they reached out and I could finally buy my Lexus in the middle of a pandemic. So thank you, Lexus. I should say, though, that I do agree that on the whole, that these are indeed uncertain times. But for me personally, and maybe some of you in this live stream that have been literally doing nothing for over a month now, would agree when you just watch those ads and just think about it and just say, like, wait a second, what are these things talking about? These are the most goddamn certain times ever lived through. I swear, never in my life have I ever had so much certainty in my day-to-day life. Everything is just laid out right in front of me, before my eyes, from the minute I wake up to the minute I close them. That's been it. That's been my life for the past month, and that'll probably be it for the foreseeable future. So these are probably the most certain times you're ever living through. Every single day I planned out for me, from the cup of coffee I drink in the morning, to attending E-class, to staring at my TV for 9 hours. It's a plan that mostly involves me being in my room, and believe it or not, it's where I am right now. So whether or not that's a very depressing reality to kind of mull about, or it's comforting in a way, I don't know. I haven't figured out how I feel about it, but I'm pretty sure I'll have just tons and tons of time from now on to figure that out. And thank you very much, everybody. All right, so for our next performer, she is a nice Jewish girl from Denville, New Jersey. Her mom wants you to know that she is in fact single. Justine Brooke Murray.
Thank you, Jeremy. Well, since I've been stuck home with my mom in quarantine, she's been using this bonding time to point out all of my shortcomings, which include reminding me that I'm still single and that apparently my taste in men is shit. But hey, dating is hard for someone like me who has a Jewish mother. There's so many mistakes I can make. Daughters left to their own devices may come home with a hot-looking plumber, like I try to do one day. Tried is the key word. I went to my mom, hey, he actually serves a purpose on the planet. What? That is a Shonda, Justine. A Shonda. The best interpretation I can give to non-Jews is something like a reaction your mother might have if you got knocked up by Hitler. Let's just say it's a really bad thing. All the single lawyers, doctors out there, and you find this goy? What is this Bill Bob's claim to fame? A belt buckle bigger than his head? And his hot I Heart Jesus tattoo. I just had to throw that one in. I figured she was going to try to lobotomize me in the middle of the night anyway, especially when it seemed like for 1 second that she might actually have believed me. My mom's at this point is just mortified. I freaked out. She's just horrified. What? Nah, Justine. Oh, sure. Well, that's just perfect because he'll need a Yahoo outfit when he realizes the only way he'll ever afford your lifestyle is armed robbery. Okay, I think that round ended in a draw, but there's always a follow-up round. It's like nothing I say gets her off the fixation with getting me married. to a Jewish man, a successful Jewish man, kosher, absolutely no substitutions permitted. So who cares, Mom, if my husband looks like an undertaker and is only slightly warmer than stiff, right? Would that be so horrible if you lived well in a nice huge house that you can show off to your friends? Oh, and what would you do? Would you prefer driving in jalopies? What's wrong with nice cars? Yeah, Mom, that you can show off to your friends and spending vacations in the Hamptons. That's roughing it, I suppose. Yes, Mom, so you can mention it to your friends every chance you get. Then my mom already knows. With a smile of victory, she goes, "You should have such friends, Justine. They keep you from finding your boyfriends in the aisles of Walmart." Okay, like I shop at Walmart. Touche, Justine. Something tells me you'll adjust quite nicely to the smell of formaldehyde. Okay, that round went to Mom. She was right, of course. Look, I'm not a snob, but I know my weaknesses and I'd make a terrible hippie. I admit it. But my mom's fixation with trying to strap me to the right Jewish man is pathological. And when I resist, she serves up a nice Seder-sized plate of guilt. Mothers, Jewish mothers, and their guilt trips. I dedicated my whole life to making sure you had the best of everything. And what do? You treat me like dog shit. Chopped liver. So ungrateful. I'm not ungrateful, Mom. In fact, I got a nice big cross for you in the backyard that you can nail yourself onto whenever you feel unappreciated. And Mom, I will always be there to help you with that tricky final nail. What? You have a cross? Who says such things to a mother? Such hatred. Well, don't you bother yourself with me. I've already booked my room at Daughters of Israel, so when the time comes, because I know when I get older, you'll have your hands ready at my plug the first time I get the case of the sniffles. My mom is so good at guilt trips, she could make Harvey Weinstein feel ashamed. The New York jury found that pig guilty in a New York minute, but when my mother and we were watching the verdict come in on TV, what do you think my mom said? Okay, he's a pig. He's not a nice Jewish boy, but he is Jewish. And, you know, a girl could do worse. I mean, nice job, nice houses, nice cars, and you'll never be vacationing in Wildwood, New Jersey like you would with Bill Bob the plumber. Thank you so much, guys. I'm Justine Burke-Murray, and I am proud to introduce our next act. Don't mistake his voice for Alex Jones. His name is Billy Frey.
Hello. So I've always been told that my voice is too loud. I am sick and tired of being told this and people whining and stop yelling at me. You're so embarrassing. My ears hurt. Well, guess what? People can just shut up. It's my time to shine. Like, I'll be on a date, a beautiful candlelit dinner, expensive wine, and a lovely lady. And just when the mood starts to settle, I lean over. Hey, what are you having for dinner? The candle's blown out, wine all over my face, and the day ended premature. If somehow I manage to control my bomb throughout the date, things will get intimate, but things just go downhill. I'll try to be suave, make some smooth moves, maybe go in for the kiss, and I'll quietly gesture before the kiss. Hey, you want a mint? I have Tic Tacs. And then back at school, I used to call up my mother and I'd like to tell her how my stand-up would go. But her voice is like mine, except 10,000 times worse. I got a noise complaint from my neighbors at school because they heard this woman screaming about how someone's son's a failure and everybody knows it. Now, talking to this woman in person is even worse. I'm what you would call a dry loud talker. My mother, she's a goddamn garden hose. You'll be talking to her and she's so loud that spit's flying all over the room, like a relaxing boat ride at Niagara Falls. Except instead of water, it's spit, courtesy of my mother, Karen. in the coronavirus lockdown, I'll wake up hearing my parents yelling real loudly all the way from my bedroom. The conversation seems to go like, "Did you get the toilet paper? We've been out for 3 weeks." And my father's just like, "They were out. So I got potatoes. Lots and lots of potatoes." Now, maybe my dad's thinking ahead of the game. He's Irish, so he's just not thinking about the pandemic right now. We got to prepare for another potato famine. And now, my grandmother, she's completely oblivious to the pandemic. When the YMCA canceled her swim class, she told me, "Billy, they canceled my swim class. I think somebody shit in the pool again." And now, growing up, my grandmother's nickname was actually Powerful Pat. She embraces this nickname. She thinks she's invincible. She told me, "If that virus comes anywhere near me, I'm gonna kick it straight in the God's ass." And my dad, he's not fond of those kind of jokes. He's very religious, and he's afraid I might hurt God's feelings. I grew up Catholic, and my parents used to make me go to church all the time, too. My favorite part was at Mass, when we got the sacred saltine crackers and juice at halftime. And one of my favorite parts of being Catholic was youth group, or CYO as some other people know it. And during this, we would always watch movies where they would teach us lessons, and they would always use the same damn metaphor. Every character in every movie ever is just like Jesus. Pixar's Wall-E, he's Jesus. Simba from The Lion King, well, he's Jesus too. And I guess that asshole who turns into a llama from The Emperor's New Groove is definitely Jesus. And now, overall, though, I'm sure everyone's daily routine has shifted since returning home. I wake up at 1 a.m., I go to sleep at 5 a.m., and I only get off my ass when my McDonald's is delivered. I can officially say it. I've peaked. I'm a certified professional bum. Thank you. And now our next performer is a senior from Long Island, New York, Emily Simmons.
Thanks, Billy. Good job. Just a disclaimer, if you are my employer or if you're a future voter in 2036, all of this is fictional and not based on any true events. So now that that's out of the way, I'm so excited for this performance. I just changed out of the shirt I was wearing for over 24 hours, so this is really exciting for me. Now I get to have all of you here in my house with me. This is more friends over that I ever had in high school at one time, so that's also very exciting for me. Now that everyone's home and doing nothing, dating is all the rage. And I have to say, I've dealt with my fair share of nice Jewish boys, and I believe I deserve compensation for that. Having a nice Jewish boyfriend is a glorified unpaid internship. It could take most of your college career to find a good one, and then once you do finally land this job, your responsibilities might include things like picking out their outfits and, corresponding with their mom. And after everything you've put into this, all your hard work, you're not even guaranteed a return offer for the next semester. You're just left with some dude who will watch your Instagram stories for the rest of your life. Despite all this, I still downloaded Hinge at the beginning of the semester. I thought I was too classy for Tinder, so this is what I settled for. Most of the conversations that I had were horrible, but this one person who is 6 feet tall sent me a message, so I said, okay, I'll see what they have to say. He asked me, oh, are you in any cool classes this semester? I said, yes, I'm in a class called Jewish Humor and Satire. And you stand up, it's super cool. And he said, no way. I'm in Jewish Humor and Satire. I sit in the back. And so me and Billy, who talked 1 second ago, were talking to each other for a couple days. We did not realize that we were classmates. And so I was wondering, what is the protocol if this happens? If you match with someone who's in your class, are you supposed to say hello to them when you go to class, or do you just pretend that nothing happens and just it's all good? It's like the big question of our generation. It's more common than you think. So if anyone's looking for a happy end to this story, we still have a Snapchat streak of 38 days going strong. So if that's not a success, then I don't know what is. Okay, so our campus has gone through a lot of shit this year between this virus, the undercover Nazis in the fall, protests, and being rated #1 party school by Princeton Review, which the school hates so much. I took a look at this survey, asked students to rate the availability of all different substances on our campus. And so I'm just wondering, who are the students who are going and telling the Princeton Review how much weed they smoke every day? Like, do you think you're that cool for it? It's just kind of weird. And so now, you know, it was socially acceptable to binge drink at school when you're rated #1 party school. Now that school is online, everyone is just alcoholics. Instead of pre-gaming for Juice Jam and Mayfest, now me and my brother, we pre-game for Curb, Tiger King, and 90 Day Fiance. And if anyone was wondering, I do think Carol Baskin kills her husband, because that's like the biggest event that's happened to us in the last month. It's been really interesting actually staying inside and doing nothing. Usually on school breaks, I'm ecstatic to stay home and do nothing. Like, I usually do nothing. But now that I'm not allowed to go outside, I feel like I have to. And my 78-year-old grandma is facing the same issue. I FaceTime her every other day. It's just keep tabs and make sure that she's not going outside. And I had this conversation with her where she's saying to me, Emily, like, I need to go to Ambiance. I need to go get my roots done. And I was like, Grandma, like, you can't go get your roots done. Like, you're going to get coronavirus. You have a compromised immune system. And she said to me, God has his plan. And if God wants me to get coronavirus, I'll get it. And I just said, like, Grandma, no, like, God's plan for you is not to get your highlights done. It's not in the big picture here. And my dad, who's listening from the next room, is also working from home. And I don't know about your dads, but my dad never remembers anything. I don't think he knows my college roommates or his email password, but he will constantly remind us of the time that he was 5 years old in a toy store and his dad refused to buy him a sailor hat that he really wanted. Like, remembers this clear as day. So I asked him, why don't you ever remember anything that I say? And he said, well, I remember lots of things. What are you talking about? And I said, okay, like what? What do you remember? And he just looks at me and goes, what were we talking about again? Thank you so much for listening. Up next, we have the Beyonce of New Jersey, very funny guy, my friend Jacob Bellotti.
Thank you, Emily. Loved that. So everyone knows that accidents happen. Yeah, I'm one of them. At the ripe old age of 13, my mother informed me that I was not planned, which is fine. No, really, it's fine. I was late to get the talk from my parents, so I didn't know any better. But being an accident has absolutely defined my life. I found my career path by accident. I met most of my partners by accident. I contracted chlamydia by accident, but I did punch him in the dick on purpose. This would probably be a good time to mention that I'm gay. Surprise, another accident. And obviously, like, there's people out there that think it's wrong, it's a choice, or whatever. Do you think I would choose this shit? You think I said, hey, you know what'd be fun? Constantly being afraid to like people and harassment through my childhood. That would be so fun. Oh, my pride. Being gay is so much harder than being straight. We constantly have to pretend to like women in front of grandma and dad, be the fashion expert for white bitches, and the hardest thing we have to do like men. For God's sake, I would not wish that on anybody. Well, now you're starting to get a better picture of my childhood, but I was also fat and Jewish. I didn't come from a particularly progressive town, so all these things just kind of added up. Well, I will say at least I didn't have the Jewish look growing up. Another accident. I was blonde hair, blue-eyed. Seriously, I look like the centerfold of Neo-Nazi Weekly. I'm still getting recruitment emails from the Hitler Youth Program. I thought I'd move on now to the only news everyone is talking about right now, the Tiger King. For those of you who don't watch the news, Tiger King is the Netflix documentary focusing on the feud between big cat owners Joe Exotic and Carole Baskin. Yeah, I was also surprised to find out that the person named Joe Exotic is not a porn star. Then I saw a picture of him, and I was really surprised that Joe Exotic is not a porn star. Joe Exotic is what happens when Guy Fieri and Billy Ray Cyrus make a baby. But Tiger King explores the buildup to the alleged murder for hire Exotic put on Carole, hey all you cool cats and kittens, Baskin, and it's insanity. The least interesting thing about these people is that they each own over 30 tigers. So you may not have heard about this because of the Tiger King coverage, but the coronavirus is taking the world by storm. Instead of highlighting all these bad things that the virus has brought along, I thought it'd be nice to talk about some of the silver linings. I thought that'd be a fun thing to do. For instance, rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine was released from prison due to growing concerns about the virus. 6ix9ine, or as I like to call him, the Rainbow Fuck Chuck E. Cheese, was known for songs like Gummo and ZZ, which sound less like song titles and more like things I was offered at parties in college. Another great thing, there's rumors that Major League Baseball will come back in July with no crowds in attendance at games, which will certainly make the Baltimore Orioles feel right at home. And Dr. Fauci endorsed the CDC's recommendation for all Americans to wear masks when out in public, to which Donald Trump responded, "That's the thing about masks. I don't want to wear one. I've never wanted to wear one. I don't know. I just don't see it for myself." Funnily enough, that was also Jim Carrey's response to being asked to reprise his role in The Mask 2. With all that news going on, I've really only been thinking about one thing. The Houston Astros really dodged a fucking bullet, didn't they? Yeah, remember that? Remember way back when they cheated and almost won the World Series? 6 months ago? Yeah, Jose Altuve has to be thanking God for that one. He went from everyone wants to throw a pitch at you to who the fuck cares about Jose Altuve real quick. I wonder if the Astros are like holding virtual Zoom prayer sessions where they're praising the coronavirus. But to me, like the crazy thing is how easy it was to forget that that happened. It was in the BC years, you know, before Corona. That's the real new measure of time. Thank you so much. And now for our final performer, she's a freshman from beautiful Scranton, Pennsylvania. It's Allison Sugar.
Hi, everyone. I'm Allison, and I want to talk about family reunions. Some families are really diverse. They have people flying in from Canada, Mexico, Spain. But my family, we got people coming in with bipolar, depression, anxiety, you name it, someone's got it. So our family reunions, they look more like a psych ward, except it's just the patients and the staff just gave up and dipped. And you know, people complain all the time about reunions, but I hate when people try to argue me that their family is crazier than mine. It's like, oh, your family can't decide what episodes to watch on Netflix. Meanwhile, my family has episodes while watching Netflix. You and your family tried to get on Family Feud, but couldn't decide which family member should go. My family couldn't decide which person to send to Dr. Phil. But at least my family members have medications and therapy. I can't even get help for my problem. To clarify, I don't even have a disorder. I just look way too young for my age, and it's really annoying. Now that I'm in college, everyone underage is trying to get a fake ID, but I didn't even try. Because how am I supposed to convince a bouncer that I'm 21 when I can't even convince the person at the box office that I'm old enough to see A Star is Born? Come on, like A Star is Born? When I was 10, I watched Lady Gaga cover her body in Meat at the MTV Awards. I think at 20, I can handle a romantic musical. One time I was doing 35 in a 25, and then I saw the sirens behind me and I was like, are you serious? No one drives 25. So I pulled over, I rolled down my windows, freaking out. I was like, officer, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize. And then I found out the officer didn't even know I was speeding. He thought I was 12. So I've learned my lesson to introduce myself to adults and apparently classmates. Thank you, Jacob. To introduce myself as a college sophomore. Because if I don't, I will typically get a, oh, so you're taking the SATs soon? Are you nervous? Actually, Karen, I'm nervous that when I celebrate my 21st in a few months, the bouncer will cut my actual driver's license in half. It's not only adults that think I'm too young. Sadly, I still get DMs from 16-year-old boys telling me I'm cute. Can a high school sophomore at least say I'm hot? And I know boys typically call their girlfriends baby, so I really hoped that was all my boyfriend meant when he called me that. But I became concerned when we went out to eat and this bitch asked the waitress for a high chair. I was well aware it wasn't for him, he's 5'10". And the waitress still brought one. And she gave me a pack of crayons. But then I remembered we were at IHOP, where kids eat for free, which also made me realize maybe there are some positives to looking this young. Let's see, I can get kids discounts. I won't get judged when I shop in the youth section for my size 3 feet. And I can even fly first class for free, as long as I sit on someone's lap. But I'm serious. One time I flew alone at 17 and the stewardess came over to me and said, sweetheart, would you like to move up so you'll feel more comfortable or more safe? So I just went along with it and I was like, yeah, that would help. And I really miss my mom. So she said, all right, honey, we can put you up in first class. Would you like some cookies, a soda? And I was like, I prefer a mimosa. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. And on behalf of me and my classmates, I'd like to thank Professor Frieden and Stephen Rosenfield for working so much with us and giving the opportunity to present all that we've done this semester to all of you. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will now pass the spotlight on to Frieden.
Teaching these students has really blown me away. Thank you to all of them for giving it their best shot. They're so creative and intelligent, and as you heard, funny. I also want to thank Stephen Rosenfield for working with my students and bringing out the best in them. Thank you also to the American Comedy Institute for hosting this event on YouTube. Thanks to our co-sponsors at Syracuse University, the Jewish Studies Program, the Religion Department, the Humanities Center, the College of Arts and Sciences, and Syracuse Hillel. And thanks to all of you, wherever you are, who are watching this first performance at the virtual Comedy Café. It was a pleasure to prepare our show and stream it to you live. Please come back for another different program by my students at 7 p.m. on Thursday, April 23rd. Thank you and good night.